Hello students, I am Assistant Professor Yeshun Bhara and today we'll be discussing about the topic of IPC, that is offences by or relating to the public servant. Now offences relating to public servant starts from section 150, section 166. So section 166 uh, says that public servant disobeying law with intent to cause injury to any person. It says that whoever being a public servant knowingly disobeys any direction of the law as to the way in which he is conduct himself as such public servant, intending to cause or knowing it to be likely that he will by that such disobedience cause injury to any person shall be punished with the simple imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year or fine or with both. Now, under section 21 of Indian Penal Code, you have got the definition of public servant. And in this section, you will see that when the public servant, the person who is a public servant, and he has to follow some direction or some norms when he was acting as a when he is acting as a public servant. In that case, he does not follow that particular directions which is mentioned or which is prescribed in the law. Okay, and in this in his conduct, he is having will that and again he is having knowledge that by doing such disobedience or by doing such conduct, he shall or he will cause injury to any person, then in that case the person shall be punished, or that public servant shall be punished with the simple imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year or fine or both. Okay, so again, the person who is a public servant, which is mentioned in the section 21 of IPC, and it says that the person is knowingly he disobeys the direction of the laws uh, which is given to him by the law, and he in his conduct unknowingly cause injury or intend to cause injury to the public or any person, then in that case the person will be imprisonment, will be serving the simple imprisonment, and which may extend to 1 year or fine or both. Okay, now moving further, section as I said, the ingredient I have told you. So again, if you want to like just go through the ingredients, that the first, the accused was a public servant at the relevant time. The second, there was a direction of law as to how such public servant should conduct himself, and the accused disobeyed such direction, and by such disobedience he had intent to cause or knew it would likely to cause injury to any person, then in that case the person is liable under section 166. Okay, now moving to section 167, it says that public servant framing an incorrect document with intent to cause injury. Now you sorry, you must have seen in so many movies and serials that public servants being holding that particular position, and in that particular position he to injure some person or to cause injury to some person, he frames incorrect documents, or he frames false documents sometimes, then in that case the public servant will be uh, held guilty under section 167, whose punishment is the term of 3 years or fine or both. Now moving further, section 169. Section 169 talks about public servant unlawfully buying or bidding for the property. Okay, now again, uh, if a public servant and being legally bound of such public servant as a such public servant not to purchase or bid a certain property, purchases or bid that property either in his own name or in name of another, or jointly or in share with others, shall be punished with simple imprisonment which may terms to 2 years. So in this case you will see that certainly sometimes the public servants are not allowed to buy some kinds of property, and in that case if he buys that property or puts bid on that property. Bids means to you must have see the auctions, and if there is an auction going on and if he bids in that particular auction himself or by any other person's name, or by like solely himself or jointly in shares with the other, then in that case that public servant will be punishable under section 169. And the punishment mentioned in the section is uh, imprisonment of 2 years or fine or with both. And if such, and that particular property which he bidded or which he uh, bought it, okay, and then in that case that particular property will also be confiscated and will be taken up by the authorities. Now moving further, section 170. Section 170 talks about personating a public servant. Now, what do you mean by personating? Like the person, he himself says that I am a public servant, and by personating that particular post, he uh, falsely or he take benefits of that particular post. You must have uh, heard the cases in the news many times that the person has himself said that he is an IS officer, or he is a police officer, or he is an income tax officer. The famous movie of personation, say that special Chabis, there was a movie of Akshay Kumar and Anupam Kher. You must watch. It's very nice movie, and again it talks about the personation of a public servant. So the whoever pretends to hold any particular office as a public servant, knowing that he does not hold such office, or falsely personate any other person holding such office, and in such assumed character does or attempts to do any act under the color of such office, shall be punished with the imprisonment which may extend to 2 years or fine or both. So if the person uh, personates himself as a public servant, then in that case the person shall be punished uh, under section 170, and the punishment mentioned in the section 170 is 2 years of imprisonment or fine or both. So I hope that you must have got the definition of sorry, the provisions are relating to offenses relating to public servant. Again, I'm seeing that its definition has been mentioned under section 22 in the general exception, sorry, general explanation. Okay, and section 166, from section 166 to section 170, there are the provisions which talks about the offenses which are relating to public servant. And 166, it talks about, again it talks about the offenses in which the person who is a public servant and who disobeys the authorities or the law, and knowingly he commits any injury to the person, then in that case he will be charged under section 166. Okay, and section 160 and further 167, it has been said that if the person being a public servant prepares the incorrect documents, then he will be charged in the section 167. 169, again it says that if the person being a public servant bids or purchases some property which he is not allowed to do that, in that case he will be charged under section 169. And again in that case that particular property which he has bought will be confiscated. And under section 170, as you can see, that if the person uh, personates himself as a public servant, then he'll be charged under section 170. So now I hope that you must have got the provisions of sections or the offenses which are related to the public servant. And I rest my lecture here, and please keep studying, and take care of yourself, and thank you.